Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2 with the 9-time GSL champion, the Terran in the red, the man, the myth, the Maru, facing off against the fastest player in the game and the former world champion Zerg in the blue, the Italian stallion. We have Reynor in a best-of-5 Terran versus Zerg showdown as part of the playoffs for the $10,000 LiuLi Cup Finals. And before we get started, it'd be incredible if you could smash that like button or maybe even subscribe. Help me out of the algorithm. And Jimmy, what are we at? Jimmy. 1,803 likes on this video, on this cast. And I'll cast another one. I'll probably do it anyways because I don't know what else I'd do with my life. But thank you for watching. Hopefully you've had a good day so far. And hopefully it's about to get just a little bit better than the very first Zerglings intercepted by the Reaper. But Maru, and not too surprisingly, a bit greedy to start things off. A command center first. If for some reason Reynor did an incredibly early pull, a Zerg rush if you would, he could be in a game-winning position. And now two Zerglings get into the main base, and the SCV say, take a look around. It's a 3 command center into Barracks Factory Starport, which does not tell Reynor almost anything, besides the fact there's not an imminent threat to anything but his ego. But two Zerglings will mildly inconvenience some of the SCVs. They'll force the Reaper back home. One of the Zerglings gets to the natural and will keep it busy for a little while longer. But eventually he'll head across the map. And very simply, Reynor has no way to follow that up. There is the small chance, the reason why Zerg can't really capitalize on that situation, is because Banshees exist. All right, not yet, but they could. So instead of gambling on the off chance, the incredibly small chance that Maru doesn't go for a Banshee or doesn't have that starport, instead, he's going to gamble on the much higher chance of already having his third base up, getting more drones, and potentially starting a lair in a timely fashion, which is not really a gamble, but I kind of committed to that whole bit, so we're just moving on as quickly as possible. Just like Maru into double refinery at the natural, he's been taking us to McDonald's a little bit lately, but not exclusively, all right? He's a bit bio-curious when it comes to the Terran versus Zerg compositions. We'll see what he angles for, but getting 2 more gases this early on, committing that many of his potential workers to Vespene gas, usually indicates a bit more industrial tendencies. A lair is on the way. Reynor already at 50 drones. The Overlord, it could be a fake. Cloak is on the way for the Banshees. And even if the Overlord spots it, that doesn't necessarily change anything for Reynor back at home, besides confirming it isn't going to be the mass barracks plate. Now, if he sees the gas mining at the natural, he even adjusts the OV. He sees it. All right. Roach Warren immediately. Lair finishing up. Reynor heavily suspecting that this is exactly what it is, before even Maru committed to it. 2 armories on the way. And isn't it curious that we call them armories for the mech upgrades and engineering bays for the infantry weapons? Food for thought. All right, and while you're thinking, it's time to like and subscribe. But moving on, the Spore Crawler a little bit late. The drones will have to head back towards the main, but Maru just letting Reynor know that anytime he steps off the creep without detection, or even with it, is going to be prey to the Banshees, which are now sharking around the edges. But Reynor has not wasted much time in getting the creep spread out. A 4th base is on the way. Overseer, of course, as the whole Queen defense team joining up. Some Roaches in production. Sloaches so far. The Hellions moving to the north side. Just going to go scan the creep. Not going to dart into the mineral line, knowing that Reynor... What? Gets pretty deep. Pulls out at the last second, which... Well, teasing everyone for now, but... Hypershees. Hyperflight Banshees. He's just gonna go for it. A couple Banshees is annoying. It's a threat. 3 or 4 Banshees is an existential one. If you don't have the Queens in position, that's enough to kill Spore Crawlers. Maybe you lose 1 Banshee, but if the Queens are at the front trying to defend the Hellions, it also is more than enough DPS to discourage anything but the most committed Roach attack. And the Hypershees are just... Do you remember when we could fly? We were never that fast. Well, now we're much slower. Shut up. Sorry. 6 drones dead thus far. And that's not the end of it. Quite a harvest will be reaped by the Banshees. Even getting the extractor in the main, because why not? Picks off a couple more. The Queens, some knitting needles to shoo them away. But Maru already has a 4th command center. He's got 72 SCVs. We got 1-1 mech weapons and armor, as well as Blue Flame, filling in those Tech Lab upgrades. Reynor ambitiously going for a base at the 12 o'clock. Some creep drop by the Overlord, but the hit squad of Banshees just drive right by and take it out. And there's a very real possibility that Maru could out-expand Reynor with the Mech Terran composition. But, well, is there an infestation pit? Yes, because he has a Hive on the way. In fact, he put all his tech at the natural, which I really like, because what base is most likely to be useless later in the game? It's the main. As it's going to mine out most quickly and probably be the furthest away from your army. That's 4 Banshees against 3 Queens. With no detection here, even though some of them running out of energy for the cloak. And very luckily, those Queens are able to drive this away before losing the hatch again. +1 Carapace about to complete. We've got +1 melee in production. The Queens struggling off the creep, but Maru has managed to play, well, the best defense is a good offense. And right now, the Zerg feeling very offended that Maru was able to get so much done. The harassment on the workers, and oh! Well, if he was a little bit higher in supply, I'd say he's trading away those Hellions. But the first major mistake out of Maru, he just lost all the Hellions to Zerglings, which is like somehow your kettle breaking your kettle heater. Stove? Think stove. All right. Jimmy, edit that out. Oh, no, I'm not drinking tea either. Vipers. Spire. Thors. Starports. The tech is expanding wildly, as both sides have already reached the top tier. Maru has only 4 orbitals right now, but that's just the beginning. You know Maru's going to end up with more scans than the last Xerox store still operating. The orbital commands the best way. It may be planetary fortresses. We've seen the mass planetary fortress as well, but the mech army is moving out. The Vipers are quite a good counter, but with this much heavy metal, does Reynor actually have enough to throw around? The fact that Maru was maxed out with mech at 10 minutes against a Zerg who's going for roaches and langs and at similar supply with nothing in the bank. Well, the push begins. The Vipers are required. And they're here now. Blinding Cloud on the tanks. Looks for the back line. The Zergling counterattack going to undercut the siege tanks to the south side. The Thors are torn down to the north. And Reynor snaps the jaws of Zerg shut and completely clears the army. But here come the Banshees, the Queens. There's one spot without creep. Yeah, you found it. The Queens, the Banshees again coming in and turning what was a decisive victory for Reynor into a much more Pyrrhic one. The Vipers gathering energy from the most vulnerable hatchery, which does not seem like maybe the ideal methodology, but the Queens, I guess, could be relied on for a less than renewable energy system. You can transfuse the hatchery with the energy from the Queens in order to consume energy with the Vipers. It's not exactly a 1-to-1 ratio, but I don't know how many Queens it takes to have a sustainable energy system, but it sounds tiring just to think of in the first place. Some Banelings are being added in, and Maru has 4, 5, so okay, he's got plenty of command centers. He's taken his base to the south. Reynor is expanding to the corners. 88 to 83 workers, so plenty of economy on either side. Parasitic Bomb, Blinding Cloud, and washes out the corrosive biles, knocks out some siege tanks. Parasitic Bomb doing a lot of damage to the Banshees. The Queens, not even able to finish one of them off. Oh, ho, ho, ho. Meanwhile, those Zerglings have gotten into the third, gotten into the natural. They should be cleaned up, but he bought himself the most valuable resource of all. Time. No, not Bitcoin. I don't... Slowbane's just crashing into Hellbats and Thors. Not exactly the most cost-effective methodology, but now Baneling speed is on the way. The Viper count is at 5, which is 5 times as much as Age of Empires 2, and may be enough to contest this. As without ghosts, there's no direct counter to the Vipers. He's not even building Vikings in order to try to knock him out of the sky. How have the Banshees lived? 10 kills, 12 kills, 4 kills, 1 kill. Are you even trying? Meanwhile, the Zerglings, Reynor trying to dart in. He needs to knock out one of Maru's mining bases. Yes, sure, his economic stonks are taken off as he's now expanded to the corners. And Maru has lost a few SCVs, but he's easily replaced that with army supply. 3 Vikings looking for an opportunity. I swear there was a Spire somewhere. He does have one. The Queen, he abducts a Viking. Lings and Banes over to the right side. And now it's really the Chet. That hatchery is having a tough day. Continually being slurped up by the Vipers and transfused by the Queens, or maybe it just likes the attention, but the Banelings will be chased out by the Banshees again! The Banshees are back, the recurring character that no Zerg wanted to see, but every Terran is excited to. Meanwhile, Reynor with a 113 army supply. That is a hefty army right there. Thors and Hellbats putting your mother to shame even. With Vipers ahead and Neural Parasite, very key. Because if you can't beat them, sometimes the best way is to hire them. 3-3 upgrades are finishing. For Maru first. +3 mech weapons and +3 mech armor. These are fully operational Thors. As well as Hellbats. A fusion core is on the way. And the Banshees! The Banshees again! The Banshees will take out the top left corner. And so far, Reynor has not had no Corruptors. And Corruptors aren't even fast enough to chase down the Banshees. And, oh, the hell it... Those smart servos Hellbats just going full, transforming themselves into anti-Zergling mode. And the Banshees! Not again! The Banshees, come on! It's like the Pedro Pascal, somehow in everything. Though, and you know what? Worth the attention. Parasitic bombs sprayed and prayed across it. They don't stack, and they aren't enough to kill the Banshees in a single bomb, which, again, not exactly parasitic cloud, but they already have a blinding cloud, so you see how there's kind of not a lot of room for verbal maneuverability there when it comes to naming things, but the Zerg have never been super original at that. Anyways, roaches. What am I talking about? Moving on. Maru has retreated. Not quite into his shell, as the Banshees are being repaired. How many Banshees have died? 2. Which, honestly, I didn't even realize. He keeps having 4 or 5 Banshees. And they keep working out for him, as it's just enough that Raider's not committing to mass anti-air. And the Banelings are rolling in, but Banelings cost gas. Hellbats very much do not. And the Thors, but the Infestors. The Vipers are doing unspeakable things to that hatchery. The Raven is Dorito dusting the Ravagers. Meanwhile, Blinding Cloud, Thor's blasting through some of the Vipers. The Transfuse comes through. Another wave of Corrosive Bile thrown out into the fray. But where are the Infestors? They're right there. The Infestors. Burrow is now done. You can Neural Parasite from underneath. And there are so many Thors, they're both the strongest point and the greatest vulnerability of this Terran composition. Because the Thors are incredibly strong in general, but when they're turned against you, they're very good against Thors. They hit incredibly hard. Almost as much as the realization that Maru is 28 years old now, Grandpa. How's the back pain? But building armor, about to complete. Maru has 9 orbital commands and counting. We're going to double digits in just 16 minutes. The income is almost even. The bank favors Reynor. The scans across the board, and he's at the point he can just scan about 1/3 of the map at all times and still have some energy left over. The Vipers, Parasitic Bomb. It doesn't matter if you're cloaked or not, it still works. And the Infestors, so the only way... Wait, can you Parasitic Bomb a unit that is not your unit? Just stand it still. Wait, watch out! Oh, I'm so sorry. I need to see that again. I bet that was hilarious. So, in that, Reynor holds the bench. He's like, how do I deal with this? He throws up the corrosive miles, and, well, the Banshees are still alive. Oh, no. Oh, to kill those Banshees, what did it cost? What? I swear more than 20. Really? Reynor killed 9 Zerglings and 3 Banshees. Maru killed 20. He didn't lose a single unit, but you know what? That was a pretty great trade then. Though, the couple seconds of Reynor wondering, like, what do I do with these? I'm all responsible for this water bottle. If you know, you know. Well, here we go. Blinding Cloud. Infestors underneath just getting exploderated. A couple more neural parasites. The Blinding Cloud. The Thors can't see anything. But they can shoot at one another. Unfortunately, the Infestors are much more malleable creatures targeted down by the siege tanks. And most of the Thors survive. And 4 Thors in however many bases ago, Maru decided he was going to play this Mech Terran. He also decided that it wasn't just going to be limited to Mech, but Terran should also be able to play Bio, which is why he just built 4 more barracks, a Ghost Academy, and he's going to go mass Ghosts. He is not a purist here. He's a winner. And he's determined that that's the best way to do so. But the Blinding Clouds, the Thors, they can see the Zerglings at their ankles, but unfortunately the DPS isn't there. And the Queen's backing everything up. The creep spread is on his doorstep, but Reynor just battered down the door and forced him to retreat to what I assume is like a foyer or something. Maru is completely shifting his unit composition. He's adding more tanks, Hellbats, but Liberators and Ghosts. The just pillars of Terran late game, which are almost impossible to knock down. And either one of them is incredibly hard to deal with. Both of them simultaneously, near impossible. Well, the Zerglings actually take down. 1 Banshee survives. Still alive after all the trials and tribulations, but the classic bait and switch. Zerglings to the left, Roach Ravager to the right. Takes down another planetary fortress, and Maru is on the ropes. He's switching. This is the most vulnerable time in the game, and Reynor is making very good on it. Right as he's shifting into this much more methodical composition. We're walking! Oh, I wouldn't call this walking. This is more like crawling. Nobody asked, Karen. No one asked. I thought I would just offer my opinion. This is the internet, so... No. Sorry. The liberation zones, a Venn diagram of freedom, just covering the entire 9 o'clock base now that Reynor hit it once. It's never going to happen again. He's got 11 orbital commands, whips out the scans, drops the mules, and all without a single supply needed. A greater spire is finally on the way, and Reynor may be attempting his own late-game transition to the most expensive possible unit composition. Reynor going to come in again with the Vipers. The Ghosts are out of position to get the EMPs. He comes in for another round, repositions the Liberators. The corrosive bows are scattered throughout, but like an unruly frat party there, not very much accuracy. Doesn't really knock down almost any of the Liberators. The Zerglings are chewing on some of the depots over to the right side. There's just a comical amount of orbital commands. As, though they don't cost supply, they give the supply. And at some point, the SCVs are really only needed to mine gas, repair, and look beautiful. And right now, they're all done looking beautiful. We'll go with that. I guess building more orbital commands, but it's... They're creating their own replacements. A whole lot of the map has already been mined. The Lings and Banes are rolling through as Reynor. He still has so much in the bank. It looked for a moment like he could just outright break Maru. That moment is the Banshee! Why is it so fast? And furious, but mostly fast. Top left corner scouted. Banshee heads on over. No Spore Queller, no Spine. Not that that'd be helpful. Reynor's actually managed to expand to the rich Vespine base down in the center. The Banelings rolling in, trying to close the distance. And we'll make one ghost very uncomfortable. They'll take apart a couple Thors. Siege tank. The Banshee! 19 kills and counting. Strong gust of wind would blow it away, but the drones don't have that in them. And oh my. The Banshees this game have not been the star, but they've been the very important supporting cast. And finally, one is taken out of the sky. They've gotten so much done. Just helping with the map control. Blinding clouds on the tanks. Yanks out the Liberators. There's no actual answer to them in the air, but Maru is down under 1,000 minerals. He's getting +2 infantry weapons and armor at 22 minutes. Which, is better late than never. And it's entirely for the ghosts. He has not a single other bio unit, but he does have 15 ghosts. Technically, it works for the 26 SCVs, but it's 160 army supply. Oh, that's a lot to deal with. 60 drones for Reynor. It's those outlying bases over to the side. The queens are congregating over towards the 3 o'clock, but now, make no mistake, if Maru loses this army, if he even loses a big chunk of it one time, he cannot rebuild. Reynor still has the income lead. Reynor's mined 7,000 more minerals, though 3,000 less gas, which is curious. One SC, big job, huh? Aren't you a big job? Why are you so weird, fella? Siege tanks, Hellbats, Thors, and ghosts. Oh my, this is peak Terran right here. It doesn't, like, this is about the strongest Terran army you could ever conceive of. Even has a Raven. A Raven! Which many Terrans will go to great lengths to ignore its existence, but certainly doesn't hurt. There are 10 orbital commands. At this point, well, Reynor, he has the Greater Spire. He's got +2 flyer attack. Right now, it's +3. Oh, no, they're ghosts! Just committing a French Revolution. A King Henry, a Queen's going down. And the blood is all that's left. Oh, a massacre. 7 queens gunned down. And Reynor, 82 more Zerglings, but again, Maru's not maxed out, and he doesn't have any money in the bank. He's desperately trying to mine from one base at a time. The Ravager is going to be popped like overripe tomatoes. There goes. It throws down an auto turret. Why not? Is there a Banshee? No. But he doesn't need one. The age of the Banshee has passed. It only took like 20-something minutes. Though, I mean, having one Banshee, emotional support Banshee is very helpful. Few more SCVs. Maru trying to fill it in. Because honestly, he might not have enough to mine gas and also repair a single siege tank. That's a house siege tank, all right? Zerglings drawing friendly fire. And the Corruptors are in production. Reynor feeling like he either doesn't want to or can't break the army here. The scans. As soon as he spots the Corruptors, he knows what he's dealing with. So Reynor doesn't even bother. The Broodlords and Infestors. The dynamic duo. The best way to potentially close out a game against a Terran who has almost nothing left. Unfortunately, that nothing is incredibly strong. A couple Thors, 14 siege tanks, 11 ghosts. You need enough Broodlords in order to overwhelm the ghosts. And then the Fungals are to interrupt the snipes, to throw off their aim and force them to retarget. The siege tanks can be quite a liability as well. So, Reynor he's re-expanding to both corners. The scans continue. The Raven spots for the Broodlings. And here come the Broods. Maru with the center. He unsieges the tanks. Is he going to try to fight with the Thors? It's only +2 flyer. He has 3/3 on the ground, but really, when they whip their Broodlings down, that's flyer attack. And then, of course, flyer carapace is relevant for the damage they take, but Thors hit ridiculously hard, and snipe does not get affected by armor. So armor is almost a non-factor. The flyer attack, though, is very relevant for how much damage the Broodlords do when they whip out those broodlings. And once they're on the ground, they benefit from melee attacking Carapace, but that's, again, not too much of a factor. Maru on a shoestring budget. And he's investing in the largest shoes. Another Thor is on the way. The sport! The spore crawlers. A Sporchard is coming together. Ravagers and Lings cutting through the cursory defense. Knocking down another Liberator, denying especially the rich Vespene gas. Single Zergling gets by. Meanwhile, Parasitic Bomb forces the Liberators to unsiege, takes out the ambitious hatchery. Now, the bank is dwindling for Reynor. And this base, I don't think he's going to take it out. Throws out some corrosive bow. 21 more SCVs dead. But that means the army supply is still unbelievably huge. He's building 9 SCVs at a time. Doesn't want to drop too far below that 40 or so mark. And, oh, there goes! Don't quite get the volley of snipes that could have ended in 2 Gs. As Reynor, like, he put everything, the cost of the armies, 8,256,000 for Reynor, 7,955 for Maru. Reynor, despite having less army supply, has some of the most expensive units in the entire game. Technically, queens are counted as army, even though they're not in the select all army key, which is another quandary for another day. But Reynor re-expands the moment he leaves, like the AI. And things slow down through all the fire and fury of the last 28 minutes. Reynor has lost only 8,000 more resources. He's lost 2,000 less gas. He's lost 1,009 Zerglings. And it's not over. And he has more to lose. But not that much. What a game between these two. Every time they clash. I called Maru versus Reynor the game of the year last year. One of their many clashes. And it feels like 3 or 4 times this year they've met. And every single time, it's this dramatic. I think they've gone about even in games. Reynor knocking Maru dramatically out of the was it the All-Stars? I believe. Yes, it was the $50,000 All-Stars Cup. Maru has yet to win a series against him, at least on the playoffs of a major tournament this year, but, well, he's got another chance. The Thors are moving forward, and oh my, the sheer girth of these armies. Just maneuvering around is a struggle. That queen showing in a very dramatic way. The scans, looking for any sort of counterattacks. Maru has map hacks for extra APM. The Liberators slowly but surely moving forward. The ghosts. Where are the ghosts? Where are the ghosts? They're on the other side. Now, Reynor can't know that. Not for sure. Yeah, Reynor knows the map is dark and full of Terrans. But if he knew the ghosts weren't here, I think he'd be going... And now he's going to spot the ghosts on this side. That's so important. And it just goes for the SCVs. He knows the ghosts are over to the left side. Now, there could be a few over to the right, and it just takes a couple EMPs to wipe out those infestors, but Maru, he's holding on. The SCVs get wiped out, he immediately uses it as an excuse to replace them with automation. There's no such thing as a sick day in the Terran... Not Terran Republic, that's a different game. That Raven. There's some Vikings mixed in, the Thors, but without the ghosts, how do you stop the Broodlords? 18 Broodlords! Lines up some more shots, actually knocks out one of the Overseers, was aiming for both. There's, oh my god, the Liberators have an anti-air attack! This is the only scenario where armor would actually be a pretty huge deal. The Liberators technically splashing across all of the Broodlords there. And Maru still has quite an army to contend with. These Spore Crawlers moving up. Reynor mining from the top left quadrant of the map. Still continuing forward. This will be hatchery number 9 going down. 4 orbital commands, a couple command centers, and an orbital. I say 4 orbitals, 4 planetary fortresses taken down. The Zerglings streaming through all over the siege tanks. But I can't help but note that Maru is about even on the bank. And they're both at 200 supply, give or take. So, the Brood Lords, there's literally no anti-air with this. I mean, he has the Infestors, but feels like he's playing with all sorts of fire. In some cases, literally. I don't know what just went flying over there. As we've reached the supreme endgame, Reynor is on 10,000 more minerals. He's got a overall, he has 21 Brood Lords, the 5 Queens underneath, some Infestors. Zerglings find another Thor. I think that's enough Hellions to shut this down. What a split. 11 Hellbats in production. The Brood Lords can't really split, and the Infestors must be with them. Otherwise, they risk getting shot down by the Ghosts. But at the same time, the Terran army struggles to find much success in smaller groups as well. So, it might only take one moment. Yeah, a couple Hellbats or Hellions coming by, but the tech tree could be chopped off at the stump. The Hive, the Spire, the spawning pool itself. Reynor could rebuild it. We'll see if he decides that's the best case scenario. The Brood Lords are spotted. There's a dozen orbital commands. He should be able to keep tabs on the entirety of the army. The Liberators with a siege line backed up by the siege tanks themselves. And Reynor has some very hard decisions to make. Should he stay? Which could be trouble. But if he goes, it could be double. The Hellbats are just incandescent. The Zerglings, just looking at him, get... It's an absolute, utter, heart-wrenching, potentially game-ending disaster! He lost 6 broods, which is not nearly as bad as I thought. He lost all his Infestor energy, but the Zerglings... Okay, wait. Losing a critical mass of broods is tantamount to losing the entire game, but there's still so many of them. He wiped out the Ghosts. There are 4 more in production. Maru has money in the bank, of course. But he doesn't have that many mineral patches left either. He's knocking out the tech. He took out the Hive, and this is the scenario where taking out the Hive so early is absolutely critical. Did he remake his Spire? Is that what is losing his tech tree really going to be the defining characteristic of the late game? That's like getting disqualified from the boxing match because you didn't bring your gloves. Yeah, that's where I was going with it. Bear with me. He just lost his lair. He has an infestation base. He's gonna make swarm hosts. He's not gonna make anything because he's broke. He still has so many. He can make infestors. The infestation pit is bleeding out. Maru is still mining. He's still dropping mules. The mineral patches are numbered in single digits. The only potential bases, the only fresh base, relatively, is the 9 o'clock, which Reynor is technically closer to. Now, they can't see how much money's in the bank, especially not Reynor, because he doesn't have orbital commands to just scan the entire map. So, Reynor is relying on the undeniable strength of this army. But the moment it's even a few steps, a few inches, a few millimeters out of position, well, Maru stepped right into the gap. And it won't take much. There's an anti-armor missile, just keeping tabs, but the Zergling slipped by again. Maru is building up a bank, a larger bank than Reynor for the first time in the game. After 1,200 Zerglings have been sent to the unit's lost town. I think Reynor might believe this is slightly closer than it is. I guess when it comes to economically. It's been a brutal slugfest on either side. That's so many. 18 Broodlords, a few Corruptors mixed in for what it's worth. The Infestation Pit is a minute or two away from bleeding out. The Liberators can help zone out the Infestors as the Ghosts continue to be a existential threat. Maru is committing. The Queens try to hold it together. Some transfuses. The Broodlord's getting close. Snipes lined up, backs off at the last moment. The Thors, there's not much to back this up. He's jammed himself into this position. But I don't know what will be the trigger. Oh no, a single ghost gets to the MP, pops another infester. It doesn't get easier. Reynor trying to wait for Maru to make a mistake, and at what point does he say that's enough? Here is the line, but no further. Here we go. The infestors underneath. The Raven will be taken out immediately. EMPs, nowhere to be seen. The tanks, blinding cloud on the tanks. There was still a Viper. Meanwhile, the Broodlords are grinding through. Some of the infestors survive, and he might actually take out the ground army. But does he have anything left to contest the Vikings in the skies? Not nearly enough. Maru managed to shove his way, to take out the tech tree, to chop it down, and the lifeline for Reynor to hold it together. Were the Broodlords too little too late, or too much too early? Losing the tech and being unable to rebuild it at such a key timing. Maru never picking the big fight until he thought he could win the war. What? And 15 hatchery. Oh. And I think there were so many moments. Even with, I know, the Ghosts and the Orbital Commands and the Liberators, they feel nearly impossible. But Reynor, he had the supply, he had the bank. But Maru refused. He gave up, I think the key part was being willing to give up multiple bases in order to maintain the army, in order to keep the momentum of the death ball so he could Katamari his way around the whole map. And just the hardest part, I think we have to go back to the perspective. Maru, even if he loses parts of his army, he knows exactly where he stands. With 12 orbital commands, you just take a look around. It's like he has the observer cam, but again with extra APM. Reynor can't know that. Reynor cannot see magically that it's going to be 150 supply Maru. Okay? And the difference between 150 is 200 versus 200 is obviously huge. But so he didn't know. And it's almost impossible to know when a game is that hectic, when that much is going on, when 1,000 Zerglings die and it's but a footnote. So Reynor, unfortunately, was not able to find the timing to strike Maru down. And then the Terran Empire struck back. And now another unfortunate start for Reynor. He's going for pull first. And if Maru was going command center first, this could be quite a difficult situation. Unfortunately for him, Maru was going for 2 Rax Reaper, which is actually one of the best counters to this you could possibly have, because he's going to have 3 Reapers against non-speed Zerglings, and Reynor kind of hamstrung his own economy. This is part of the poker game of StarCraft, where you're working off that limited information, unless you've invested in 12 orbital commands, but that costs money, that Terrans will tell you. And, yeah, there's almost no scenario where Reynor comes out ahead of this early. By no means is it over, obviously. This is just marginally behind. He dodges. So the best case scenario is the Zerglings somehow get in. He doesn't know that that was a 2 Rax Reaper. He doesn't know there's 2 Rax until this exact moment, which is Hello? Maru was microing his Reaper on the other side. The Zerglings get in, and those few seconds really matter here. Okay, well... there was no wall. The SC citizens arrest. Yeah, he just kind of stabs his way through, and if you want something done right, you gotta get it done yourself, and the SCVs... job's finished. Well, yep, now he's just building. He's going up to 5 Reapers against just the Queens. And a few Zerglings, but... Two command centers. Of course, there's 2 command centers. Why wouldn't there be 2 command centers? Maru with an awkward yet perfectly defensible setup because there's no real chance of Reynor kind of turning this around into an all-in. For the near future, at least. The high ground. The Reapers will get in. He's actually just going to micro out instead of... well, loses 1. Yeah. Get off my creep! You feel better now, Brenda? Better's relative, so yes. Now, if you had said good, I would have said probably not. I didn't. I said better. I did. Don't let me tread on your toes, Susan. No. We'll save it for Dronely fans. The Zergling speed is done. Oh, the grenades! But one of the Reapers is taken out. It could have been much worse, but Reynor handling this about as well as could be expected. Unfortunately, there's 3rd command center against exactly 2 hatcheries. Soon to be 3, but that means Maru is going to catch up easily in the worker count and economy. Though, yeah, the Reapers being hunted to the ends of the earth will go as close as they can get to try to avoid the Zerglings chasing them back home. But it's going to be Stim Marines. He's got a starport on the way, and now we're starting things off with a bio build, as opposed to the more mechanically inclined, which is not too surprising, as 2 racks, obviously got a couple racks. I'm here all day. You're stuck with me. I mean, you could pause or leave. Don't say that. Jimmy, edit that out. Or you could just use that time to like and subscribe and not miss a single moment. Unfortunately, Maru, he tried to sneak back, but the Zergling spotted him. The last Reaper, I guess you can't jump down there. I think he was assuming. Pinned up against the minerals and taken down. So, despite the mediocre kind of give and take of the builds early, Reynor finds himself with plenty of map control. He's going to have his 3rd hatchery up, plenty of drones as well. Has not yet started his lair. And for some reason, Maru is building an armory, which I would usually say, okay, but what? My eyes just didn't register it. There are 2 factories. So it's a mech build. Again, he's just dallying with a bit of bio in order to convince Reynor. And I mean, 2 medevacs of Stim Marines are always a threat. But Maru gonna go so far into the bio build. And then, wait, is this just mass Widow Mine? Ugh. Disgusting. Maybe effective, but huh. So this is definitely more of a mixed bag here. It's Marines, medevacs, and mines, which is quite a filthy Terran build. A single siege tank. Gonna try to use the Zerg. Ooh, beautifully done. Splits off a Zergling. Maximizes the not-so-friendly. Oh, that siege tank racking up the kills. Reynor. And now the Marines will try to deny a 4th base. I say a 4th base because he has another one further along. Wow! Maru's siege tank just... Maru killed 4 SCVs, which actually feels low. He did terrible, terrible damage. I'm surprised he didn't unsiege the tank. The double drop just heads back home. We got the two cars passing beam here where the Widow Mine drop heads out. Will he expect a mine drop, though? The mines have not been shown at all. Drilling Claws is 10 seconds out. The queens are ready. This is restricted lair space. You can't come in here. Yeah. Great energy, Brenda. Obviously, I haven't been injecting for months. And it's really taking a toll. Again, no one at. Well, the Widow Mine will be revealed. The Drilling Claws, the queens are out of position because the drops came in absolutely every angle. Distracted on every front because a second medevac comes in. But wait, there's more. Oh, diffusing the situation. One of the Widow Mines, 4 drone kills. And cleaning all of this up is, well, it's quite a pain. There's still one more mine he may not have noticed at this base. It appears he doesn't. And he definitely targeted that on some of the drones. Reynor, 8 drones. No, another. Oh, the Zerg entity. 15 drones dead to the Minecraft gameplay. But wait, there's more. The revolving door of Maru's deadly delights. The Drilling Claws just continue burrowing down and knocking out an inordinate amount. Finally. That one burrowed as well. Reynor just running all the way. Oh, but wait! Where did you come from? He just keeps sending another one and another one and another. Oh, no. Deep breaths. Namaste. Namaste. Well, ain't that some shenanigans? 24 drones. Reynor plummets to a 10-worker lead. But again, this has bought Maru the most important resource. Time. Maru has built up his economy. He's got a 4th command center now landing at the 3 o'clock. He's got... the upgrades are a bit all over the place, and by that I mean almost nothing. He's got +2 weapons on the ground. He's building +1 armor. Hydras out of Reynor, now realizing that he's dealing with still a bio build, just one that's taken quite a... Oh, the Widow Mines just exploderating across the mineral line. Reynor has absorbed the damage. He's... technically, he's lost less. So, it feels bad, obviously. It feels bad to be constantly losing drones and lings, and apparently a queen at some point. But every single one of those, just minerals. Mines, Vespine gas, medevacs, obviously so. But really now it's the position in the game that's most relevant, as opposed to the statistical losses. And the key part, again, is that Maru has not only survived, but he's thrived. He's got 4 bases. He's got more command centers on the way. A Ghost Academy in production, +3 infantry weapons with only +1 armor, which is a curious split in them. The Widow Mine's taken out. Yet another medevac, number 7, is taken down. 25 mines dead. And he's not done. And send in another Gorgon. No, sir, that's a medevac full of Widow Mines. Way better. Send in another one. The Widow Mine just kind of scrimbles its way down. And even more damage. 13 drones dead. Wow, even uses a parasitic bomb on a medevac that was effectively dead. Clearly, Reynor has had enough. But again, he has plenty of money in the bank. He's maxed out. The creep spread, it's clearly strained his multitasking, but it hasn't really been multitasking. It's just been setting mine drop, mine drop. You get a mine drop, and you get a mine drop, and you get a mine drop, and you get a like and subscribe. Me? Thank you. Maru is, he's putting together his mine field. Trying to turn this into mine conf, but Hydras, Lings, and Banes coming through the Valley of Death. Hopefully, he takes those out at some point. The Widow Mines taking some bites. The Vipers conspicuously in front of everything. The Ghosts are here, but only a couple. EMP could help, but that is a lot of Banelings. 48 Banelings, 13 Hydras. Of course, Reynor is maxed out. He's about to have adrenal glands. Pretty soon, there's no reason not to attack. The SCVs, abandon your posts. Flee for your lives. Knowing that this base is about to be hit with almost everything Reynor has, he just retreats with the SCVs. Something very rarely seen, but Maru truly cares about his economy. He cares so much. So much. 3 command centers in production. Once again, going to be creating a whole traffic jam in his base because of the sheer amount of command centers cluttering everything up. Which, you know, probably will affect the Zerg more than the Terran as time goes on. There is a single Zergling burrowed. There's more than that. Widow Mines, a dozen scattered throughout. It's going to be an entirely different style of game. But still, it seems we're going to the late one. Maru is putting on yet another masterclass of keeping the Zerg at bay. But it cannot be understated. Well, I rarely understate anything, but Reynor's in a great spot. It feels bad, emotionally painful, but you know, that which doesn't kill us sometimes makes us stronger, and sometimes leaves us with lifelong trauma. But you know, we can fill in the blanks. But the Ghosts a little bit out of position. Blinding clouds on the siege tanks and the planetary. Vipers get outflanked by the missile turrets, unfortunately, but the planetary is taken down by the Banes. Display command center becomes the functional one. Is on fire and not in a fun way, but 68 more Zerglings, another base in production. And Reynor refills for yet another round. Maru? Big job. The only SCV who has the correct license to repair. Some Bane Mines. We'll see how much... the simple issue with Bane Mines is with near double-digit orbital commands. Maru has not been stingy with the scans. Okay? There's 80 Zerglings, dozens of Banelings. Hydras and Lings just picking apart the siege line. As honestly, siege tank's not so great at point defense without the bio army to back them up. Unfortunately, put all the bio army together and the Banelings find a much better target. Single Overseer just hanging out. The Ghost will spot it. More factories. As Reynor. Well, Maru is doing the opposite of the previous game now. He's shifting from the bio army into the mass mech. Siege tanks. Maybe Hellbats. A nuclear missile is in production. Only one Ghost Academy for now. Though Maru is pretty much the creator of the mass nuke late game against Zerg. There was a match against Scarlet like 8 years ago where he launched over 100 nukes, and I honestly forget if he won. But hearts and minds. Hearts and minds. Speaking of mines, they've mostly been shifted out of the equation. Still a few dotting the field. Baneling mines as well attempted. Casual Viper, slightly out of the scan, thankfully for Reynor. There's no way he doesn't scan that, right? Yeah. Main mine. Reynor with 4K, 3K in the bank. Maru with nothing there. He is maxed out, but he's spending everything for now. He's getting to the point where he has all the infrastructure and effectively all the upgrades, though. So he's pretty much 100% in Terran, the Terran tech tree. Reynor's still pretty far off that for Zerg. He doesn't have a Lurker Den, an Ultra Cavern, nor a Greater Spire. He's reliant on the Hydraling Bane, which somewhat paradoxically is great against the Ghost. Gonna evacuate the ghosts. A lot of banelings going into the marauders, but he does take them out. Very importantly, lunges away, and Reynor again gonna rip apart the economy. 15 SCVs dead, and Maru cannot easily replace them. A hatchery may be taken down, but Reynor is refilled. He just dodges out of the Widow Mine. Parasitic Bomb on the Medivacs. Hydra gonna bear the brunt of that mine. And it drops out the ghost. This tiny little choke point is making things quite difficult. The Widow Mines have been repositioned. The ghosts line up some shots and knock out the Overseers. The Widow Mines at the front, feeling like, again, a campaign mission. And the hatchery will be targeted and taken out. But Maru, that was his first hatchery kill. And honestly, there's a chance it's his last. No larva for Reynor. The queens are overtaxed and under... Actually, no. Brenda! What? Do something! No. The queens with full energy not injecting, which is a bit lackadaisical of him. And right now, the limiting factor for Reynor is the fact he can't... He doesn't have larva. He's got a brood war level of hatcheries, 7 going on 8, but without the injects, you're capped at 3 larvae per hatch, and he's running right through it. Honestly, the lack of injects is a huge deal right now. He needs that larva. That is his best chance to overwhelm the Terran army, because he will lose fights, but he can still win the war. There's a burrowed Bane right there, but one Baneling is not enough. He triggers the Bane underneath. I don't know if Maru even noticed. Some blinding clouds, Banelings rolling down, get into the safe distance, such as it is with the siege tanks. But again, Reynor cannot, he has the money, but not the production. Maru, he's got 8 barracks, 5 factories, only 1 starport. There's now 8 orbital commands, a couple planetaries. The queens have now gone on a mission. I don't know where that queen went, but she's injecting everything. Yeah, the injects are coming through, so Reynor should be able to refill this army. The infestors in a precarious position here. We'll see if he notices the worm sign. It's pretty obvious on this map of all maps. The infestors are in a premium position. There are the siege tanks. He unburrows. The fungal is huge. The banelings are closing in, but the ghosts will be able to retreat behind the human shield of mass marauder. Some of you may die, but that's a sacrifice the ghosts are more than willing to take. Make. Both. Hey. Do you... Can I park here? Hello? You told me this spot was open. Just 1 second. You said it would be open. Stop having it be closed. Shut up. Contractors. Zerglings running through again, finding a weaker point over to the right side. More siege tanks will be torn apart. Again, it's the infrastructure itself, the Sim City, the base setup, making it hard to actually run through, but the Hydras lunge forward, knock down the Liberators, which have been standing guard for quite a while now. Reynor? Well, he doesn't have much in the bank, and he's not maxed out. Again, well, this time the larva is there. This is it. This is the moment. He's running low on the bank. This is when he has to decide. Does he stay the course and try to overwhelm Maru with the Hydroling Bane, which is plausible? It could work. It has been working. Or does he try to shift into a probably less mobile but more powerful tech, like Lurkers or Broodlords? Probably not Ultras. Stay the course. Hydras, Lings, Banes, all the Widow Mines may cause some immediate regrets. And he's brought enough Banelings in order to neutralize this base, but the Hydras are being chased down, and there's 56 Zerglings in production. But Maru is starting to hold and solidify the left side. He mined much of the right side base, His third base is almost gone. The main bases, of course, have been mined out for quite a while. So far, Reynor has lost 10,000 more resources, including 1,500 less gas. 57 Widow Mines have been knocked out. He's just scanning underneath himself whenever he realizes he doesn't have detection. Oh, no. Did he catch a glimpse? More Zerglings slipping around the right. Maru is again retreating into his shell. But the Porcupine Terran. And as soon as he comes off to the right side, but the Ghosts in position, the Infestor throws out a fungal. Massive catch. Gets a whole chunk of the Ghosts. And only a couple survivors live to tell the tale. Huge moves. The Infestor at the last moment before the missile turret came up will unburrow and bind the Ghosts to their death. Reynor takes a solid supply lead, and Maru cannot replace his army. He's building a few Ghosts, a handful of Marines, but Reynor has a massive income lead now, which I swear we'll see in a moment. There's, well, until the mules drop. I swear for realsies. Reynor, well, Maru is mining from 3 bases, which, with plenty of mules. So, he still has a nuclear missile he's been holding on to. And, well, it appears the promised economic boom was somewhat mitigated by the power of mules and that orbital command stimulus check he just dropped down. But he's going to hit this base with almost everything he's got. The Vipers have full energy, and more SCVs will be obliterated. The Marauders stimming forward, but a bit little and too late. Reynor is dismantling Maru piece by piece and base by base. And now Maru is left without a single fresh mining base. There you go. There. That did it. More than 2,100 more resources per minute. Oh no. The Widow Mines will hit the Vipers and the missile turrets will take out the rest. Not exactly the opening salvo he wanted, but still get some blinding clouds. Crashing through. Mainlings hitting Marauders for the most part. That definitely a less successful engagement. But, yeah, Maru taking out 2,900, 700 to 1,200, 500. Thing is, Maru has nowhere left to go. He's got plenty of command centers, of course. 7 orbital commands. He's building 2 more command centers, which honestly seems a bit optimistic. The Ghosts over to the right side, anticipating the attempt. Reynor knows there's no base here because of the burrowed Zergling, which just got taken out. So, unceremoniously, but the Zerglings will meet with the majority of the Ghosts. We'll clean up some more. Loses an Overseer, but Reynor still has plenty of income. Maru is on the ropes. His army, 128 army supply, which maybe is the only issue. Nidus, Lurker Den. That is the end game. Reynor has not attempted this so far. He's gonna have a lot of gas in the bank, more Widow Mines, but as long as he denies this base, Maru is simply running out of mineral patches. He's running out of money. Another Mule Hammer drops. The Zerglings are slowly chewing through. Maru's running out of units to defend these locations. The Zerglings on top of a 3-3 tank, but the Adrenalings are so good. They take it out with ease. The Hydras and Lings, he knows the army's there, but guess what? The Infestor is in position. He unburrows, he gets a fungal. Incredibly important to get at least one. The Banelings are rolling through. The move command is good. The Ghosts are able to retreat. The command center draws some of the fire. And that means Reynor will be driven back, and he doesn't take the command center with it. Aspire's on the way. The Lurker Den has completed. He starts Lurker range. The Nidus in the main, and the reinforcements are nowhere to be seen as Maru has so little income. Another wave of mules will drop. Another stimulus check as he tries to buy his way out of this one. But will this end with, I've arrived! That queen completely missed... What? What? Brenda's revenge is cut short. What? Of all the things that could have happened, that was one of them. I'm still recovering, but I don't. What? Okay. Yeah, calm down, Lil Jon. Surprise! Another Nidus! That was a false start, but this one is an existential threat. The Lurkers are in the heart of the production. Only one siege tank, as the Nidus was at point-blank range and the siege tank didn't notice in time. Nearsighted or farsighted, I don't know which one it is. But the Lurkers are just eviscerating the production. And just like Reynor, the abandoned ship, everyone, he just flies away. Which, you know, is better than losing it entirely. I got a little lightheaded with that one. I don't... The orbital commands hit the skies as well as Maru does his best impression of a Bronze League hero. The great flight of Maru. But will it be a new beginning or a trail of tears? Oh, wow. Widowmine does terrible, terrible damage. But the Hydra's Lings and Banes once again crashing into the planetary fortress and once again crumble under the combined weight of this much Zerg. But Reynor just ran out of gas. What? Oh no. Oh no. Meanwhile, no, we gotta go back even further. While all that was happening, there weren't that many Lurkers to start, but Maru took them, the vast majority of them out. Yeah, the scans. In fact, the Ghost found a good position in between them. He actually overwhelmed. And even though, and that's where all the gas went, even though this base has been completely overrun, Reynor, well, he's missing several gas geysers on his current mining basis. There's 2250 on this gas. He just started the Rich Vespine. He hasn't even mined it all from the top right. There's still Lurkers in the main, but he's mitigated the majority of the threat. 11 Hydras in production. Reynor's still mining 800 gas a minute. The army he's got 9 siege tanks. Now, Maru, he's gonna build the wall to keep the Zerg out. He knows they're not sending their best. Usually they send Lings and Banes, not Lurkers and Broodlords, but both options are on the table right now, and Reynor has been trying to flip it the entire game. Reynor now mining from the 3 o'clock location. 15k more lost, but Reynor has mined 20,000 more minerals. He lost another 1,200 Zerglings. Oh, sweet Kerrigan. And here come another 100 or so. Infestor, wandering into missile turret range. I don't know if Maru noticed. Looked like he did for a second. Barely survived. The Nidus, just a single Widow mine, more as a alarm bell. And Reynor is letting Maru mine. I mean, it's not like he just said, okay, have it, but... And Maru going to dig himself another mule trench out of the income, or the Zerg income mountains. 6 orbital commands. There's not so many orbitals he can just drop mules and scan the entire map, though he's doing his best to pretend he does. And Maru with 140 army supply. Despite the Lurkers, despite the potential Broodlords, we had the Lurkers to completely interrupt the production. But that was their one showing here. That Infestor. Oh, but the scan! The star senses were tingling. That Infestor could have won the game on its own. But again, the Cyril Fester is spotted. Maru's at 183 over 159 supply. He has to spend some of his precious few resources on rebuilding supply depots, which is certainly not ideal. Reynor is now mining gas from the 3 o'clock base. The Widowmine serving its purpose here. Gets on top of some of these Zerglings. And Maru did not start at the bottom left location, but you might have fooled someone coming in, you know, 30 minutes late. As he's completely migrated the entirety of the Terran base. He lost his nuke. He lost the Ghost Academy with the main, which is now completely dark. Come back to us, dark. $130,000 resources lost in just 30 minutes, which is an obscene number. There's not much in the bank for either side. Much less than their current army on the field. And Maru actually making quite a play. He's maxed out for the first time in quite a while. The Fungal gonna help chop off the head of this attack, but there's no Vipers for the Blinding Cloud, which means the Siege tanks taking big bites out of the Banelings. The Ghosts in full retreat. The Siege tanks are overrun, and the Zerg will crush the front line. But, unlike Blizzard, he wasn't able to stop the Ghosts. Who are you gonna call, Reynor? 8. He's gonna try the trend. Really? The Broodlords? Maru getting Blue Flame at 32 minutes into the match. Really? 4 Broodlords. I don't know, Kev. Broodlords, this... It just seems like Maru is so prepared for them. Well, I mean, and Reynor doesn't have much in the bank. Broodlords and their immobility, all it takes is stepping or gliding just a little bit too far. And usually it's too late to pull back by the time you even realize it. But here we go. Oh, the Infestor just annihilated. There's always another one. Only 3 right now. The Broodlords are going to try... he's going to use the Broodlords on the left. And the Hydroling Bane is still threatening the right. The Broodlords will completely overrun. He had to rebuild the Engineering Bane. It'll buy him a few more seconds. Maru trying to mine from this base. And the Hydralings and Banes again. Trying to crash through. The Ghosts? Where are the Ghosts? Oh, lining up the shots on the Broodlords. And we'll knock them out. The Planetary Fortress trying to get close enough to break the snipes. The snipes go off. The Planetary's holding. Oh no. He just walks right past. Doesn't matter if you see me, you can't stop me. The Broodlords were Reynor's last kind of nest egg of minerals and gas. And now we can barely build any eggs at all. Oh no. Wait. Has he done it? He has to hold off these Hydras and Lings. But the Bioarmy, now the Ghosts are coming back around. That magnificent son of a bitch. Maru again! Rumors of his demise were greatly exaggerated. 1,445 Zerglings were not enough. 200 Banelings. He killed a surprising... He didn't need to kill the hatcheries. He just killed everything that came out of them. And Reynor, he mined 18,000 more minerals, but he lost 19,000 more. He mined 2,000 less gas, which, lo and behold. And Maru... I think the Broodlords were desperation when, again, Reynor does not have that information. He doesn't know how much Maru has in the bank. He can't make the perfect decision every time. And so far, 2 games in a row, the call to go Broodlords was maybe a missed one. The Broodlords not filling the role they needed. And the ghosts putting him right back down. Maru. That one, okay, the game one, I could see a great trajectory for Maru to take it. Like, Reynor was constantly shifting unit compositions. You could easily get caught mid-shift change there. But that game, the one time it feels like Hydraling Bane may have been the answer. Reynor started asking all the wrong questions. Maru, that, I want to complain about ghosts so badly. That is my instinct. But that is possibly the most Terran game I have ever seen. From, remember, the revolving door of Widow Mine drops to the Bioarmy to completely abandoning his entire main base to reestablishing a new one, somehow dragging his economy back, lifting like on the entire backs of packs of mules, to finally clawing his way back to near 200 supply, and somehow surviving the onslaught and achieving victory. I think it was less that Reynor couldn't break him, it's that he lost focus. And again, it's so hard to judge as Zerg because you don't have 25 scans every minute. Stop. It's a completely understandable mistake to make. And if you could even call it that. But unfortunately for Reynor, it's a heartbreaking one. I don't even know how you recover now. Like, Reynor has done reverse sweeps before. He doesn't get... Well, it depends. When he gets tilted, it's rough. But when he is on point, he can turn it all the way around. Remember, he has beaten Maru in incredibly close, like 3-2 every time series, multiple times this year, in the highest profile tournament. So, don't count him out yet. But definitely he's counted down. Oh, exhausting. Imagine. And now let's play again. I mean, imagine after the first game. Imagine playing any games. Sorry. Sorry. I didn't mean to stress you out. It's like, no, Winter, I totally played a game. It was... How many workers did you start with when you last played a game? Like, obviously, Legacy of the Void. It was 12 workers. Sorry. Well... But I bet the Mothership Core still existed. Remember the Mothership Core, Grandpa? Like, no, it wasn't that. 9 years. 2017. And ever since, we've been trying to replace it for Protoss. Shield battery overcharge, energy recharge. But enough about Protoss. But maybe not enough about Hero, which 3 games, over an hour to get to Hero. It honestly really shoehorned in there. Honestly, a little lightheaded after that one. I hope most of the casting was coherent. This is one of those series, I feel like I've gone off the rails. And I have to speak, break the fourth wall and talk in third person. Because I really hope it was entertaining, educational, or at least fit the bill. Because I don't remember almost any of it besides the game. I assume I was talking about it. But that game was so engrossing. And that's how you know it's good. That's usually where I just trust myself to hopefully have followed along well enough to enjoy it for everyone. But I was thinking so hard about that game and so little about anything else, which is a good thing. It's one of those good problems, but I'm still thinking about it. Well, not as much. I have to multitask, but you know, StarCraft players, right? Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. And Jimmy, edit that out if it was too cringe. No, not everything is too cringe. Sorry. Chicanerous and deplorable. The Hatchery Owners Association meeting is going to need to hear about. Brenda, shut up. No, you can't just say that to me, Susan. Can and did. moving on. Hellion Banshee. The Banshees are back. It's been a while. They honestly still, I think, the MVPs of this entire series. And might even be able to get a little bit more damage as Cloak is now done. Comes back in. Oh, the transfuse on some of the drones. And will dip right... It's going to be Mech again. The Mech sandwich here at McDonald's. We've got Mech, then Bio, then Mech. Though every game, and any game, both games, there were 2 games. Okay, it could have easily been 5 with how long it's been. But... So, Mech into Bio, then Bio into Mech. And now Mech. And we'll see. Hyperflight rotors. Ooh, this is Hell Clones as opposed to a more heavy metal composition. This is the most mobile, honestly, arguably more mobile than Zerg compositions with Hellion Cyclone. Oh my, just burninating across the mineral lines. And Hyper Shees, which are faster than any unit but the Zergling and the Mutalisk. So... you can get all the way around the map before the Queens can amble across to their own 4th base. Though they're going to be in position to intercept the Banshees. And the Overseer will get in. And it will spot all of this. And he should have a very good idea of what he's dealing with. The Mass Factory. The Hellions. Well, he's going to see, as soon as he sees a Cyclone, like, it's a bit of a giveaway. Infestation Pit starts immediately for Reynor. The Marine will actually pop the Overseer. Raven's on the way. Just mixing him in, why not? 4th Command Center. And the Banshees. The Banshees! They're back! And the Queens are... the creep spread was shut down, which means the Banshees are getting a lot of damage done to the Hellions. Oh no, the Banshees again! Such an incredibly useful tool. A scan. Reynor's like, fine. Fine. Starts the Hive underneath the scan, which I'm going to assume Maru took note of. Just knowing that the Hive started that gives him an exact timer when things like Vipers, mostly Vipers, could be a threat. That is by far the most important thing, getting the Hive tech early. Honestly, there's no real Hive tech unit that's great against Hell Clones besides the Viper. The rest just for upgrades across the board. The Roaches don't even have speed yet, but thankfully there's no Cyclones or Banshees here in order to bite into them. Gonna let the Banshees come back around to try to deny this base. And guess what? The Queens across the world. The Hellions actually get a wraparound on a lot of the I mean, the Zerglings get a wraparound on the Hellions. And Reynor, Maru's already so confident he's going to kill the base. He spends some time on the Roaches. Bit of a disaster piece already, but Reynor is nearly maxed out. He's got 86 drones, so again, he's absorbing all this damage, and hopefully he's channeling it into the late game energy he needs. Maru is doing... he's just... you can't touch him. Like, I'm trying to theory craft in my brain head some attack that, or some timing that would actually be effective. But the Banshees, if you go mutas, there's already Hell Clones. Swarm Hosts, forget about it. Really, you kind of have to wait for the Vipers to even have a dream of dealing with this. And the Banshees again! So it's like Reynor's almost going for a Viper all-in. Though he's building a Spire, and I'm not going to say it again. Like, by the 6th time, it got old, right? Like, unlike those hatcheries. Please clap. I did. The Hyper she hits on. The Roaches and Hydras And Zerglings, oh my. But Maru is working on 2-2. He's going to have similar upgrades. The Vipers, there's already Ghosts in production. The scan spots the Vipers. More orbital commands being added on. He's going to 6 or 7. The Banshees are back, but finally the Queen's in position. For like the 7th time. Feels like that. I think it's 3rd or 4th. This base can be denied. Oh my, not again. The Banshees come back around and just easily don't take it out. I don't know. I was totally on autopilot there. Thankfully, the Banshees weren't. Or were they? Get over here. The Hydras will knock them down. Alley-ooped by the Vipers. And 2-2 vehicle weapons and armor about to complete, but a good pick-off from Reynor. Greater Spire is on the way. +2. Mech weapons and armor completed. +2 ranged attack coming up for Reynor, who's just expanding literally everywhere. He has 4,300, 1,500 in the bank. So despite the superficial damage that the Banshees, the Hellions, not really the Cyclone, he didn't make that many Cyclones. Double Nidus, Greater Spire. Lurker Den. Reynor's going for absolutely everything. He's going to try to see what sticks. And so far, he's come up short, but here come the Vipers. The Ghosts, not quite in position. EMP catches, equips one of them.
Ghost reporting.
Yeah. Roaches, Hydras, and Lynx going to try to come down the center, trying to back. Wipes out the energy of every single Viper. Anti-armor missile. Gonna coat the Hydras. There's multiple changelings in the main, though, as Reynor clearly gearing up for the Nidus. The Queen's bearing the brunt. Now, there are no Lurkers. He's just rattling out Zerglings, which is not exactly the optimal unit to be popping into the base right now with the Hellbats already on location. Getting charbroiled immediately. Sniping out the Queens, the Ghosts, and Hellbats here. Did you get a permit? No! I didn't think I needed one. Typical. Consuming the extractor. The Lurkers. The Lurker Den is on the high ground right here, and Maru is getting dangerously close. The Nidus at the natural, but the siege tanks are in position. Reynor's expanded towards each side. He still has money in the bank, though. Maru's starting to bank up as well. Nidus gets knocked out. A lot of reinforcements are committed. EMP's the Overseers, which, you know, it gets all of them, so I guess it was cost-effective. More Queens gonna get exploderated. 6 more Overseers on the way. He's gonna go for the roguelike strategy. That Mass Queen, or not Mass Queen, Mass Overseer Changeling. So many Zerglings have died. Oh, not this game, just in this series. I was gonna go into a whole saga thing, but only 100 Zerglings, as the Hydras are the main entree here. And so far, really struggling to really make any headway against this sort of unit composition. Maru sprinkled in the Ghosts so quickly. And the Hydras are just not enough. The Zerglings, there they are. Gonna try to defend the base, but the siege tank on the high ground might be enough to take it out on its own. And now, the fateful hatchery to the... Come on. Another residential dispute goes down the center. There is a limit to how many units you can make. 200 supply. He knows that Maru has to be stretched thin somewhere. But right now, Maru is allocating his forces quite smoothly. Somehow seems like the right terminology. Reynor still filling in those upgrades, but Maru's bank is is catching up. And he has +3 mech weapons and armor already. A nuclear missile is in production. He never got to fire one off last game, which just feels a little disappointing, to be honest. Baneling speed on the way. The Hydras are boxed in by the bait. Let us out! Suit. Scanning across the board. Spots Reynor's base at the 9 o'clock. Denies the 3 o'clock. The Zerglings en masse. He's filling adrenal glands. He only has +1 melee attack, which... siege tanks, their own worst enemy. Another Nidus tries to get close, but not quite close enough. Hydras and Langs, more command centers in production. We got more CCs than a poorly formatted corporate email chain, or, you know, maybe just a regular corporate email chain. You know what I'm talking about. I don't, but you might. The command centers, just boxing everything out. But so far, Reynor's been throwing so much at Maru. It feels like Maru's just kind of backhanding it out of the way. Reynor still has a whole bunch in the bank, but he's out of larva. Again, struggling for larva. And he doesn't have any of those well, I guess he could build infestors or more lurkers. Maru is perfectly happy to focus on 1 or 2 bases at a time, confident that eventually it'll be another 1 and 2 bases, and eventually the rest. Especially after that last game, I think it's hard to dispute the logic. Some planetaries mixed in. +2 infantry weapons, some ship weapons being mixed in, and Reynor has just not made any headway against the army composition itself. Relatively few losses compared to the previous games, but that might change soon. 5 hatcheries knocked out. Blinding clouds. The ghosts are nowhere to be seen, and not because of fancy cloaking devices. They're finally making their way up, but with this many blinding clouds, he can actually engage. Manages to bite off half a dozen siege tanks for relatively free. Just some Zerglings, but the ghosts will return fire. The Hydras get close enough. The Vipers, a few ghosts go down immediately, and there's not that many behind. And siege tanks on the open field aren't so good against the Hydras. A nuclear launch! The ghost, lining up the shot, will be knocked out. The Nidus is just untouched by either side. The Hydras are closing in. The siege tanks on the high ground doing terrible, terrible damage. But finally loading up the Nidus. Both sides realizing it right after the fight. They split and realize something else is happening. They're just, nope, nope, nope. Right back in. That's going to be a no. The Lurkers not willing to throw themselves away. But there's another Nidus over to the left side to deny the base here. Multiple siege tanks and planetary fortresses down the center. And oh god, well, not the worst location to try to slice through. Consuming a questionable hatchery with those Vipers. Looks to overrun. The tanks are not sieged. There's a few on the back line. Not too many ghosts without too much energy. With no banelings to threaten them. Maru, this match looking a bit more one-sided than a Mobius strip right now if it continues on this trajectory. Reynor has money in the bank, but it really feels like he can't break the army. This is the first time it has truly felt that way. It keeps Maru just taking a step back and 2 steps forward. There's no infestors. There's really... He's adding banelings. And Reynor still has money in the bank. But he seems unwilling to add those infestors in. Maru has... with a remarkably flexible, yet incredibly strong demeanor. A little jealous, but managed to stiff arm Reynor away from He's taken out 6 hatcheries. He's denied at least that many between all the banshees and everything else. Another Nidus in the main, but the siege tanks on home defense. Hatchery down the center is knocked out. And again, technically, Reynor has more in the bank. But money can't buy everything. It can buy infestors. So, just throwing that one out there. The Zergling's gonna rip through some of the unprotected defenses. Get a few more Zerglings. This time around, only 400 Zerglings so far. But it's early days. There are 11 orbital commands. Maru's master plan has come together so quickly. The Hydras and Lings, the Ghosts in the middle of the map, the Zerglings just might catch him, maybe delay. The Planetary Fortress. Reynor refilling, but again, out of larva. The Hydra's not even bothering to kill the Planetary because he knows the army's coming. And if he overstays his welcome, he won't be able to do anything at all. 1 infestor in production. The siege tanks. Trying to rebuild the hatcheries, but Reynor, his mineral bank is gone. Maru just continually trotting around the map, really. And Reynor has been unable to really engage the... Oh, no. The firing squad knocks out the front line. The Vipers do have the energy. Blinding Cloud. Some EMPs whipped out. The energy's gone. And that means a fully operational Terran army is able to turn its sights on the Zerg. And GG. Reynor with the Italian GG. Throwing him out for the rest of a potential series and the next one. Clearly, a little bit frustrated, but... Maru. Wow. Making it look impossible and inevitable. Reynor so close. 2 games in a row. I really thought Game 2 was Reynor's to lose. Game 1 was a bit more back and forth, but Game 3 was all Maru all the time, despite the bank. 5,500 gas in the bank, but Reynor clearly out of gas himself. Maru with the... He dragged him to his level. Not sure if that's up, down, or sideways. And he beat him with just exquisite experience. A comprehensive domination. Again, quite jealous, but... Oh, thank you for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed. Hopefully I made the better part of your day. A big chunk of your day. At least a little bit better. I don't know what clickbait I tried to drag you here with. But Maru versus Reynor continues to deliver. And again, those first 2 games, some of the best I've ever seen. In Game 3, showed Maru's true expertise. Maru for the... It takes, finally, a decisive series. Steals one away from Reynor. Oh, we got to do the outro. If you got the means and motivation, it'd be awesome if you check out Patreon, YouTube membership. I hear liking and subscribing. It's still free, at least for now. And Jimmy picked out this video for you. If you haven't yet checked it out, it'd be awesome if you could do so. I hope I made your day just a little bit better. I'll see you next time. Good luck. Have fun. Congratulations to Maru. Stay tuned.